Hi, I'm Brendan, game developer and art lecturer. I do recall in a lot of my work in progress processes, you see me having access to like a quick panel that doesn't require me to be going in and out of the separate palettes, constantly expanding and collapsing, trying to access the tools that are within the panel, and all of them are quickly accessible within a specific tool panel. And I do recall promising to teach you guys how to set it up. So let's get started. Over here in the preference panel, I need you to come down to config and turn on this enable customize. When you click on that, you see a couple of empty spaces that are created. That means you're in the right place. And I need you to come down to custom UI and create a new menu. Over here, I'll be naming my new menu as Brandon 2.0 underscore 2.0 because I already have a first one. And the moment I hit enter, you see that a new panel has been created here. First, we need to give ourselves a little bit of space to set it up, right? So as you can see over here on the left side, there is this two arrows that is pointing left and right. Click on that, and it's gonna help you open up a panel like this. I don't need this one right now, so I could just clear that up. And it has been arranged based on alphabetical order, right? So my panel, Brandon 2.0, has been reshuffled to the front here. So when I click on this, I can pull out this doc, drop it inside here. Just make sure it's kind of loaded up. As you can see, this text user, it's closer, which means it's closed. And when it's moved out, it's further, right? It means that the panel is open. This is important because the moment you start dragging items onto this panel, if the item is closed, those icons would disappear and you have to restart the whole process again. But that's probably only the first icon that you're dropping into, because when you collapse it, it's gonna close everything up, and when you open it, you will see all the icons that you've added. So it's a lot clearer when you have at least one thumbnail or one tool thumbnail. So right now, let's do the first one, right? I would usually be using perspective and floor. So let's try to drag these two over into my panel. Just again, checking that it's open, like you can see. And I'll hold down Control and alternate. Click on the panel, right, on the tool, and drag it all the way here. As you can see, the tool panel has been bracketed with white, which means it's now selected, and I can release this. Right now, this is in my panel, as you can see, right? I can open and hide it. The next one is floor, Control alternate, drag and drop it here as well, similarly, right? So now I have two panels. I would usually like to toggle between the different axes as well. So let me click on this, and I would like to rotate by Y. So I'll just drop it here. If it kind of snaps away, you could just reshuffle it. Once you have maybe more tools, you should be able to do that. I would also usually be turning on and off wireframes as well. So I'm gonna do that, drag it here, and that creates like a new row, which is great. I think we also need to go into Polymesh 3D. And what is Polymesh 3D? I'll set up a different tutorial just to show you, and I'll drop the link in the description. This is just so that you can get yourself started using ZBrush as soon as possible. There are a couple of friction points in my experience of using ZBrush that I want to kind of get it out of the way as quickly as possible for you guys. So do watch that video. I'm going to paste it down in the description below. Right, so now just again emphasizing on Polymesh 3D, because right now there are a couple of tools that are not accessible if the geometry is not a Polymesh 3D. So on the geometry tab, you will see that there's only a couple of options here. But the moment I change this cylinder into a Polymesh 3D, I now have a lot more options under geometry. Right, this was the panel that wasn't there before. So if you want to see the before and after, just click on the timestamp a couple of seconds back, and you'll see the difference on like this panel itself. Geometry, it's just vastly different before and after you turn it into Polymesh 3D. So there are a couple of things that I used here very frequently, which is to divide subdivision. So I'll click Control and alternate and drop it here as well. And I'll also be using the subdivision level as well. So I'll drop it here. and do organize it in a way that makes sense for you. So we can always customize things here and there, you know, like okay, within the panel itself you can do that. If I want this to be over here, you know, I can reshuffle things here and there. So just feel free to move the things around by holding down Control and Alternate within the panel, and you can freely move things as and when and how you want it. I'm also using this target polygon count a lot as well, so I'm just gonna drop it here. I also use keep groups as well, and again with this keep groups it's used in one of my tutorials, so I'm gonna paste that in the description as well so that you can, you know, jump over to that tutorial and see how keep groups are used. Now that we're satisfied with what we have for this panel, we need to save it so that we can, you know, reload it again and again. But if you don't save it, ZBrush won't remember all these things that you've set up like a preset, right? So that's the thing that ZBrush needs. So to come back to just make sure we don't accidentally move anything, under Preferences, Config, turn off Enable Customize, right? Once you turn that off, this is now kind of locked in but not saved, meaning if you were to close ZBrush and reopen ZBrush again, this panel would be gone. Like everything that you've set up here will be gone. So it has to be set up, saved out as a preset so that every time you launch ZBrush, you can reload that panel in. Okay, so let's do that right now, which is to save UI. Okay. And this is where I usually would save my config. You can see a .cfg suffix, which is config. And I could just click on this one and, you know, name it any way that makes sense for you, and mine would be called 02, and I'll save this. And this is basically saying that the preset has been saved, right? So each time I launch ZBrush, I can reload it again. So now what I need to set is also a hotkey for this panel. So when I'm sculpting, let's say over here, like that, when I have a cylinder and I want to kind of have a quicker access to that panel, right? For example, right now it's in isometric and I want to change it into perspective. There is no way I could access that panel other than coming up here and click on this, right? Which is a lot of work. Yes, you have a lot of the tools that you need congregated in a single panel, but there is still a lot of movement in your mouse and your workflow, right? We want to kind of set forth a hotkey so that you can click on that hotkey and have a quicker access just with very small little movement from where you're working. So to do that, you can hit a Control Alternate and click on the panel. Right now for my case it's Brandon 2.0, and you see that when I do that, a prompt comes up saying press any key combination, assign custom hotkey, or press escape or mouse button to cancel, right? So which means it is now in the mode to assign a hotkey to it, and usually I would assign a tab, right? Alternate tab, that tab as a hotkey. So when I now click on tab, it's gonna say, do you want to assign this to this panel? And yes, let's proceed with that. So when I now hit tab, it's gonna give me this access, right? And I hit tab again, it's gonna turn off. So now when I'm sculpting, I can do this. I can come back to hit divide, and I can go divide a few more times, sculpt something, and I want to kind of bring it back down. You know, my panel is now very accessible. Like I don't have to go into every bits and pieces here, right, and dig them out and then back to my work again. It's very disruptive in terms of my flow, and I usually would have a quick access panel that is just at my fingertip, literally, right, just to get a quick access on how to move things here and there. Alright, I hope that helps. If you find my channel has added value to your learning journey, please do subscribe and stay tuned for more.